Ephesus, Ephesians, 6th chapter, beginning with verse number 10. I want to say while we are locating that scripture, Sister Estelle Kennard, Sister Bernadine Sanders passed on yesterday. We want to remember her in our prayers. Shall we stand for the reading of the word? Ephesians chapter 6, beginning with verse number 10. Shall we read together, please? Finally, my brothers, put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. Who wrestles against the spiritual wickedness in high places. And your feet shod with the preparation. The Lord bless you real good, and the Lord keep you. You may be seated. My, what great admonition Paul gives to the churches. But not only the church past, but the church present. He speaks to us. These are words that he wants us to dwell on. He wants us to know, and he wants us to give serious consideration to. And so then I want to label this message, preparing the Christian for battle. You notice the first word in the 10th verse, finally. He has said some other things. He's talked about the glory of Christ. He talked about what God has done. He talked about the position of the church. He talked about the power. He talks about the victory that Christ has won. He talks about a formidable foe enemy, which is Satan. After he spreads all that out before them, he said, finally, let's get personal about this. Finally, I want to talk to you, he said personally. Then he goes through this long, what we call hymn, some call it poem, but he gives a lot of information here, a lot of admonition. He encourages us to recognize what the Christian life is about, how we fit into God's plan, what we can expect. And so then he ends this letter, finally. He ends this letter with a call to battle. As you know by now, I've been preaching long enough for you to know I don't preach to your head, I preach to your heart. I'm not concerned about giving you a whole lot of information. I want it to be relevant where you can apply it. I want to explain the scripture, illustrate the scripture, and then you apply it to your life. Why that information? I was sharing with my wife this morning as I listened to preachers, as I listened to formidable, capable, godly preachers. Somebody has said that the weakness of the church is powerless preaching. Powerless preaching. It's not that the church doesn't have and doesn't get enough information. The church does not get enough illumination, illustration. The church does not make enough application. That's what we need, application. Information, what we need to know. Nobody knew more than Judas. Judas was with Christ for 3.5 years. He knew plenty. But you see, it's not simply knowledge. It's not cliches. It's allowing the Word of God to take center stage of your life. And then building your life on that Word. Basically, order my step in your, wake up on me. Order my steps in your, but God has done more than ordered our steps. Paul shares with us here, and you're going to see that not only has God ordered our steps in his word, God has given us the whole armor of his. I just order my step, but I give you the whole armor of God. I want you to remember that. Let it go in your hand, because that is much more to the Christian life than you and I have ever experienced. And so then, here it is. A Christian have, and Paul wants us to know that. He wants us to know that we have a relationship with God. But not only do we have a relationship with God, we have a relationship with one another. Because we all belong to Christ. That makes us brothers and sisters in Christ. And you can't tear down your brother without doing at least some damage to yourself. That's why we ought to love one another. We're sisters and brothers. We got the same blood running through us. We got the same blood running through us. We have the same principle in us that is giving us hell at times. And that's the principle of sin. But we all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. We need to know that we got a new relationship with one another. And not only that, we got a new relationship. We got a relationship with God. We got a new relationship with one another. But also, we have a new attitude about the devil. We ought to have a new attitude about the devil. No longer, the devil made me do it. You got to change that attitude. The devil didn't make you do it. The devil tempted you. You exercise your will to obey. If the devil could make you do anything, he wouldn't have to tempt you. The devil doesn't make a person disregard another person's life, disregard their family, disregard the hurt and the pain that's going to come upon their mothers and their fathers. All the devil does is dangle it before you. So here it is. And the Bible tells us that the devil is a conniver. He's a conniver. He has a way of presenting to you that which is inherently destructive and making it appear that something is going to add to your life rather than take away from your life. That's why folks indulge themselves in alcohol. Now, they have drank enough, long enough, many days enough, to know that the stuff's not going to last. But the devil says, just settle for the temporary satisfaction. Make you feel good. Make you forget about your problems. That's not only true with alcohol. It is true in sensual pleasure. Be king of the bingo game. Just move from one to another. And he got into a songwriter. The songwriter said, he said, use this song here to help him out, to bring him in my direction. And the songwriter got happy, he started sweating, and so forth. And then the next thing you know, he was yelling through the mic. Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was a home. It's always nice for me to present you with something you have never heard before. Certainly something you have never sung before. You don't know nothing about that. Yeah? Okay. So then the devil, he's dubious, he is wicked, he is ruthless. And let me tell you, among other things that can be said about him, he has one agenda: to destroy the church. Now, he knows that Jesus said that upon this rock I build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. He knows that. But still, he counting on you not knowing it. He counting on you not knowing what you have. And so he is wicked. He's a ruthless enemy. He cares less who he hurt. And there is Paul wants us to know that there is a spiritual war that is going on. And you look at him when he attacked Jesus. First of all, he tried to get Jesus to doubt his identity. Satan was around in the garden when God says, this is my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased. He was there at the baptism when God said that. He heard it. But the first thing he does when he gets ready to tempt Jesus, are you hearing me out? I want you to hear me out. The first thing he does when he tempts Jesus out of Son of God, trying to get, now you heard God say, this is my son. He tries to get Jesus to doubt his identity. Thank God, if I were only talking about Satan and Jesus, that wouldn't be too bad, but I'm talking about you. He wants you to doubt your identity. He don't want you to know your true identity. He wants you to believe that you're still what you were in him. When God's saying, no, I have taken you out of Satan. I have taken you out of the kingdom of darkness, and I've brought you over into the kingdom of light. Your identity is no longer associated with darkness, with evil, with what's the word is, with being a prisoner of yourself, being a prisoner of the flesh, and being a prisoner of the devil. That's not who you are. But he wants you to doubt your identity. He wants you to doubt your identity. That's why he lurks around to get us to feel that we're inadequate. You hear me say, go to the library and fill out a ministry form. Or pray, at least pray and ask God to guide and direct you as to the ministry that he has equipped you for. That was a work that God has for you. And God has equipped you for that work. God will not send anyone out on a job without giving them the equipment that they need to do the job. But Satan wants you to miss your identity. He wants you to believe that you can't do it because you're weak. You can't do it because you didn't go to the right school. You can't do it because you don't understand enough. You don't know enough. He wants you to believe that. He wants you to miss your identity. If you be the Son of God, do this. It is not for me to prove that I am the Son of God. It is for you to say it to disprove that I am the Son of God. And so then it's not for Satan to try and convince me that I'm not what God said I am. It's not for me to rather prove to Satan that I am who God said I am. It is for him to disprove it. God says, don't lose your identity. That'd be another sermon today, wouldn't it be? Don't lose your identity. Don't lose your identity. What is my identity? My identity, I'm more than a conqueror. That's my identity. And no matter what comes against me, I'm not fighting my own battle. God said, be still. Hold your peace. I'll fight your battle for you. And so then that's my identity. My identity is that I've been blessed with all spiritual blessings. Not some, but with all spiritual blessings. My identity is that I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. That's my identity. And Satan don't want me to stand on my identity. He want to define who I am. Don't let the devil define. Am I preaching? Don't let the devil define. And you better listen. If I'm preaching, you better listen. You better do it. Don't let Satan define who you are. Don't let people define who you are. Don't let where you live and what you wear define who you are. Don't let your limited bank account define who you are. Don't lose your identity. You're who God said you are. You're my child. I've qualified you to ask, and I'm going to give. I qualify you to knock, and door's going to be open. I qualify you to seek. All you have to do is seek. If you seek, you're going to find. It might help somebody. You got to learn how to put things in perspective. And you got to learn how to stand and have an answer. The Bible says, for everyone that asks you for the faith. I heard a preacher this morning, he likes to begin his sermon with a joke. And he said that there was an elderly man who was traveling at a high rate of speed, going 80 miles an hour in about a 60 miles long. And he was rolling. He said the state trooper got behind him. And he doing 80 miles an hour, and he saw the state trooper got behind him. And what he said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to speed it up. He sped it up to 100 miles an hour. And the state trooper sped it up to 100 miles an hour. And finally, the preacher said that the man gained some sense, and he pulled over. And the state trooper just looked at him, and looked at him, and looked at him. Finally, the state trooper said, look, you driving 80 miles an hour, then you moved it up to 100 miles an hour. Can you give me one good reason why you was going that fast? He said, yeah. He said, a few years ago, my wife ran off with a state trooper. He said, and I thought he was bringing her back. You can go, but be careful next time. The devil wanted Jesus to forget his identity. That's what he wanted. He wanted Jesus to doubt his identity. And the devil wants you to doubt who you are. Let me tell you, you're a winner. You're not a loser. You are a winner. Yes, you're up. Yes, you're down. Sometimes you do it right. Sometimes you do it wrong. Sometimes you feel good. Sometimes you feel bad. But nonetheless, you can't go by your feeling. You got to go by what God said. You are a winner. You are a winner. You are a winner. You are good just like you are in terms of your life value. And don't let nobody make you feel like this. No, God had placed his own value on you when you came and give yourself to his son. If it happened, yeah. And so then Paul had preached the gospel to the Ephesians, and the Ephesians accepted what Paul said, and they accepted Christ as their Savior. According to Acts 19:19, they believed Paul's preaching to the point, look what it said. Many of those who had used occult arts brought their books, the astronomical book, books of astrology. They brought their books and burned them before all men. And they counted up the price of them and found it to be 50,000 pieces of silver. They took that which was evil that they were practicing, and they burned it, got it out of the way because they found something better. There are some things you ought to burn up. Not necessarily literally burn up, but there are some things you ought to get out of your life. There are some things you ought to destroy out of your life. There are some people you ought to take out of your life. I was sharing with my wife this morning, saying is this, that you don't have to feel bad because you separate yourself from toxic people. I don't have to feel, well, I don't want her to think, if you poison to me, if you poison to you, you need to separate yourself from them. And so then you don't have to feel bad about that. Listen, Paul wanted us to recognize that there was a spiritual struggle that is taking place in heaven and on earth.
You've been watching services from the First Community Antioch Baptist Church, located in Lutcher, Louisiana, under the leadership of Pastor Ferdinand Gaines Jr. Pastor Gaines would love to hear from you directly. Write us at First Community Antioch Baptist Church, P.O. Box 1205, Lutcher, Louisiana 70071.